Hello chess friends and welcome to Azarov's chess channel and welcome to my advanced chess theory. And today we'll do again the King's Indian defense and again the London system, but with a little bit more flexible position by white. So in this line, white isn't building a fortress on dark squares with his pawns as I've shown in my previous videos. He goes c4 and goes more aggressive and more flexible into the game. So what's the difference? In our previous Greenfield videos, we had d4, knight on f6, and after bishop on f4, g6, white built sort of a fortress with c3 and e3, and gets his bishop out, and here he has well, a good position here with this very nice developed bishop here on this diagonal, and after h3 it won't be attacked by any piece. So although I showed you how you should play against these fortresses by occupying this opposite colored squares, here I wanted to show you this more aggressive setup by white with this move c4. So after knight on f3 and bishop to g7, here we have now c4, and after castling knight on c3. So here I recommend you to go in sort of a Grünfeld style to play the move d5 and after that c5 to simply break here, because there are threats by white here to play this move d5, which will after d6, which will block you simply out, and we with this e3, white doesn't have to go with this e4 maybe against sort of a Benoni. He gets his firm pawn structure by this e3, and after this d6 he can simply play this move d5 and keeping really the black out of play. So this is of course this has to be broken somehow, and you should go in sort of a Grünfeld style, because now here a Grünfeld style is very good, because now the bishop here is sort of hanging here. It's not so good placed. In our standard Grünfeld variations, it was always placed on e3. So let me show you now maybe the Grünfeld here variation. So we have here maybe d4, knight on f6, c4, g6, knight on c3, bishop to g7, and maybe here knight on f3. We have here d5. So after white takes on d5, knight takes on d5, you see this is the continuation, and here the bishop comes on e3. So now we try here to break the center with c5, but you see the bishop is not in this line of the London system. It's on f4. It's not protecting anymore this d4. So that's why it's good here to go in sort of a Grünfeld variation, because the bishop isn't stuck here and on the defense of this d4. So today I wanted to show a game. It was played in 2015 between Babak Malekian and Aryan Tari, and here Aryan Tari found a really aggressive play against this sort of London setup. Although they played in different move order, the position came the same. And here after bishop to g7, we have now this bishop to f4 castling, and now e3. You see white has sort of built his fortress here, but you see the difference. He has a more flexible position, and can here simply well, even c5 threats are here because the bishop is out. So maybe even to block out black even on the queen side. So now Aryan Tari plays really aggressive and plays the c5. So this is the setup I want you to memorize while playing against this sort of London system setup. just to break through here in the center. You see, white is 2 moves from castling. He has to move his bishop and then another move. We have already castled. The bishop is still on a good diagonal, and the knight can play here very well. So we are already breaking in the center. So now you see d takes c5, but now comes a very good move, knight on e4. You see, if the knight now takes, we have here a queen to a5 with check, and this would cause many troubles for white. You see now this problem of this bishop, it is placed on f4, and with closing it with e3, it cannot go to the defense here on this very nice d2 square, which we try to occupy, and this of course this c3. So here is Babak Melakian. He played rook to c1 and tries to get sort of a defensive system on this c3, and now knight from b to d7. Here now we are targeting here this now c5, but of course we want to do this with this other knight, because this knight is a perfectly active square, and with this rook to c1, well, maybe this bishop was a better move here to play, to simply go and somehow castle. Now white takes on d5. But now you see this problem. Again, we have this maneuver queen to a5, which is now really troubling here, this knight on c3, and this other knight will come into the game, because there is no you can play c6, but it's nothing special, because you would, after knight on c5, we are liberating our bishop, and on this c5 the knight is perfectly fine. So here comes bishop to d3. Now white realized his problem and tries to castle, and we have knight takes on c3, and here white plays queen to d2. It's sort of a pin, because you cannot go back, because white is threatening to take your queen, but here black takes simply the pawn back, and white plays this c6. B takes c6, of course, and d takes c6, but you see now after knight on c5, the rook must take here, because you see this c6 is not a problem. Even if it goes here on c7, it can always be picked up by these 2 rooks and this very good placed bishop. So now if the opponent plays here now this b takes c3, you have queen takes on d2, and the king must take, because the bishop is hanging, and then we would have sort of a pin here, knight on e1, and we have bishop to a6, or even maybe bishop to f5, simply attacking, and there's no defending here of this bishop. So after that, of course, then white rook took on c3. We have bishop takes on c3, queen takes on c3, because you see, of course, white is trying to get the queens on the board, because then he can play maybe bishop to h6 and threatening mate here, because we are giving up our dark square bishop, and he wants to create some dark square problems. But after queen takes on c3, we have knight takes on d3, queen takes on d3, and bishop to a6. You see how very well this activity of black pieces, because he has connected here these pieces on the a file, and now the bishop is preventing white from castling. This rook will never play in this game, and we have now queen to d1. Now again rook to d8, attacking the queen, and you see how important this in a game to castle, because you see how this rook connection comes very good here for black, because you see this rook will, as said, never play anymore, because the attack is a huge one on white's king, and well, black realized it in the opening that after this couple of pawn moves, that he could simply go for the attack on the king. So we have now queen to c1, and we have now check here, knight on d2, and here is after queen to b5. Here is where white resigned. Of course, the threats on the like squares are too many, because well, the queen could have gone maybe to the defense, but then we simply doubling rooks here on the d file, and many threats here. So here is where white resigned. So let's see here in this setup. As said, I recommend you here to play here d5, and after e3 here simply go c5. So you have to break this pawn structure. You don't want you won't allow white to stay flexible in the center. So he as said, he did his sort of a fortress, but here I'm not recommended to occupy here this like squares. Just try to break through and get this monster bishop to play. So I hope you realize this this setup. This is a whole different setup. As said, look at this bishop on f4. It's not so good as it seems in our previous London systems. It would be better on e3 and while playing maybe e4. So this is a huge problem now for white in this position, and Tari Aryan punishes it very well. So guys, if you liked this video, click on this like button and subscribe to my channel, and you can see in this link above, watch all of my King's Indian videos and this basics in chess. So thanks you for watching, guys. Chess is the best, of course.